My name is Mary Ann Schaefer, and I was a Lieutenant JG. Well, I grew up in a small town in northeastern Pennsylvania, and it was just a wonderful place to grow up. And at the point that I reached, I decided to go out and see what else was going on, and that was how I did that, by going into the military. When I decided to go into the Navy, I think my parents were good with that decision. My brother had been in for several years, and it wasn't a big shock to them. But I know my mom didn't. She got real quiet the last couple of weeks that I was home. I think she kind of was fearful for me, but she went along with it, and she was happy about it. I was a young RN, and it was 1967, and I decided that it was time to make a little change in my job. My brother was a hospital corpsman, and I think that may have influenced my decision to go into the Navy. I was in the Navy for 2 years. I was 23. I was going to be a Navy nurse, and I was assigned to go to Newport, Rhode Island for my indoctrination. And when we got there, all the nurses were in the same boat as I was. We didn't have a military background or anything, so we were assigned to live in this house that was for the nurses to live in while we were there. There were more nurses than they could accommodate in the house, so they had to create cubicles for us on the first floor in the community room, the common area. And so the first morning we were there, we were in our bunk beds and all settled in. Someone walked through and said, "Reveille, reveille, reveille," and that started our day. And there was this real cranky voice from across the way said, "Beverly who?" That's my story. That was the beginning. So we learned a lot that week. Well, it was interesting because the nurses had to go to Newport, Rhode Island, and for indoctrination and learn how to be an officer and all the things that went with being in the Navy, including Navy terms that we probably weren't real familiar with, so that was kind of interesting. It was summer, it was warm, we didn't have uniforms yet, because that was part of our weeks there to be measured, fitted for uniforms. And we had classes in learning about military way of doing things and just getting used to those things that they wanted us to know. How to salute, that was a big thing. Yeah. We learned we studied things like the parts of a ship, terminology, and that kind of thing. We got to spend time with people who were already maybe members of OCS or something else going on a social basis, so you'd get to know they were learning too, and we got to do that a little bit, but mostly it was just getting us used to the way the Navy did things. The basic training lasted about 6 weeks. Nurses were kind of had a more modified training period, shorter than some, because they wanted to get us into the hospitals. So from Newport, I was stationed at Naval Air Station in Jacksonville, Florida.